I was wondering what was happening. It was saying I was in the show, but nothing was popping up. Happy Friday, dude.
It's yeah, happy Friday. Yes, it's the overlay, that backdrop. If I don't put it behind us, it'll block us off. So when we had those technical difficulties, that one episode where I had to end, it was user error, but it's on my end there. Yeah, happy Friday.
Yeah, man, weeks flown by. It's hard to believe. Shout out to our sponsors, Sales Dash CRM. Best freight specific CRM out there. Really, the only one I know. Josh Lyles is a super great dude. I know he's gaining a lot of traction. A lot of mid-sized brokers are starting to use them. Shout out to Trio doing our back end, and obviously, if you're looking for a W-2 job in Alabama, hit up Black Box Logistics. If you're looking to be a freight agent, hit me up. HG Ships.
Yeah, and just to say one more thing about Sales Dash, my favorite thing about their platform is, I've used things in the past such as Salesforce, and right for Salesforce you have to build it out for what you want, right? Josh comes from a brokerage background, so the software is developed kind of preset. You can make changes to it, but it's really nice. It flows well. I would strongly suggest you reaching out to him, tell him that the dog sent you. Episode 9, man, it's kind of crazy to be 9 episodes deep. It feels like it's flown by.
Yeah, no, definitely. We'll be at episode 80 when we're bringing back Ryan and Bill here before we know it.
Yeah, we'll try to line up somebody from Flexport for Bill to talk to.
Good luck with that. You can do that one.
Yeah, we'll try. Oh, he really wants to go at it with Ryan Peterson, which I think he'd be a tough one to be able to get on a podcast. But so today we've got an exciting guest, Hector. He's got a extensive background in cross-border freight. This is something that I don't have a lot of experience with, but I've always been interested in. So my company does a lot of U.S. to Canada, but Mexico's one thing that we haven't done. It just seems so much more intricate than Canada, right? So I'm excited to hear his thoughts and him to kind of give us the rundown on that.
Yeah, it should be fun. I don't know much about it at all either. I know it's getting bigger from what I'm hearing. A lot of U.S. companies are doing manufacturing, taking manufacturing from China to Mexico. So I'm hearing a lot of rumblings that's getting bigger and bigger. So it'll be fun to kind of learn about it.
Yeah, lots of warehouses getting built down there. We'll go ahead and add Hector to the stage here. Hector, how's it going?
Hey, Hector.
How you doing, bro? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm here in Laredo, looking some clients.
I saw your LinkedIn post. I saw your LinkedIn post talking about you were going to bring your own 12-pack of. You asked where the tacos were or something. Can you hear us, Hector?
Let's walk. I hear you. Okay, that's better. Yeah, what you said?
Oh, nothing, man. So give us a little rundown on your experience. So from my understanding, you've been in the cross-border game for quite a while. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and what you do?
Yeah, I started a few years ago as a cross-border officer in Mexico. I used to do import and exports for trucking on the Mexican side, like a CBP, but on the Mexican side with the Mexican government. And I saw the potential. I saw all the money crossing every day, and I got into trucking. So I start from the bottom. I start driving, get the CDL, driving, doing the job, dispatching, safety, and now I'm trying to build a bridge or a way for a business, and in a way that U.S. companies that is not that big, small U.S. companies can come to Mexico and put a feet there and try to get business.
Okay, so when you talk about trying to get business, does that have to do with all cross border, not Mexico to Mexico, but rather international?
Mexico. Yeah, door to door contracts with these new nearshoring companies that are coming to Mexico, like Tesla and everyone else. Like right now, it's booming. There's more freight in U.S. than in Mexico than in U.S. right now. So
interesting.
Yeah.
So, when,
Huh?
well, you said you got started off driving. So I guess I'm curious when we talk about door to door. So from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, most of the time you'll have a Mexico driver bring it to the border and then it's transloaded to a U.S. truck. Or when you're driving, are you going through the border? Is it staying on one truck or is it moving on separate trucks?
Yeah, door to door is taking in one door and leaving on the other door. You can leave that trailer. You can change nothing.
Okay.
So
Okay, I got you.
the driver who pick up in Mexico need to deliver in US. That's door to door.
Okay, so
Usually a company like that need to have like CTPAT certification and drivers with the fast car. That is the car to cross the border without all the waiting. You know.
Okay, so it is staying on the same truck, but even if it were to be translated, I guess it would still be door to door, but it wouldn't be door to door for that truck. We got a question from Marjorie. She said, sorry if I missed it, but which location at the border are you focused on, like Nogales to Laredo and more, or just certain border points?
I'm in Texas myself, so because I'm focused in Monterrey, Mexico right now because it's huge there. So, but I can go anywhere. That's not a problem for me. I'm a trucker. I mean, um, 2 days ago I was in San Luis Potosí on an auto parts expo, and right now I'm in Laredo. Next week I will be in another place.
Cool. So would you say most of the business, what's the most traveled point of entry for Texas for border crossings?
Laredo is the biggest point of entry for all Mexico and U.S. For in Laredo Bridge cross like 59% of all the exportation from Mexico. So okay, wow. It's the biggest crossing right now.
Awesome, Matt. You got Sage asking again,
or rather, we'll get you on here, Sage. We'll get you on.
We appreciate you tuning in, Sage.
Yeah, appreciate you tuning in. I saw you on Matt's show. It was a good show. I got to catch a little bit of it. How now are you doing? Because I've seen some of your posts on LinkedIn before as well. So you're obviously focused on the cross border stuff, but you do some US to US stuff as well, or are you kind of gradually doing all of it just cross border?
I'm focused on cross border, but I mean, I have a lot of clients, so I have a lot of stories. That's why I share a lot of stories on LinkedIn. So, I mean, I keep in touch with the carriers. So, you hear a lot of stories every day about a lot of problems.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Is there a? Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, how are how is it dealing with brokers, carriers, across Mexico? I mean, I feel like there's a lot more that can go wrong. So I mean, you got to have strong relationships on both sides. A lot more intricate parts than just doing US to US freight.
Yeah, I mean, is it the same? Because people are people. It's just different language, different country, but it's the same. But also, if you don't know where to go, where not to go, or what to do, it's difficult. So if you want to start this journey of cross-border to Mexico, you will need a local for sure, a local with experience.
Do you ever run into?
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Will.
I was going to ask. So I mean, I've heard different stories, and I don't know how much truth there is to it. But when you're dealing with cross-border freight into Mexico, do you have to deal with the cartel? Is that something that's accounted for? I mean, I've heard about paying tolls essentially.
I can deny or accept that statement.
Okay, so wink, wink, yes, essentially.
You can say that. I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I'm just sure that you're essentially.
Will's asking some questions.
Well, I mean, I've been curious.
It's time to go for me. Thank you.
Yeah, next thing we know, Will.
Next question.
If I have a visit to my house tonight, Will, I'm blaming you. Okay.
Well, we're not trying to interfere. I mean, let them get paid if they need to get paid. Marjorie had another question. How deep into Mexico do you go to? And then she said, curious, since I have some that go very far into Central
Right now,
America.
right now, because of NAFTA. NAFTA is the agreement between Canada, Mexico, and U.S. from Free Trade Act. I mean, you can go to Mexico, Canada, and U.S. It's not you don't need to go deeper to El Salvador or Costa Rica or even deeper like Colombia. But it regards how deep. I mean, the biggest cities it's Monterrey, San Luis Potosí, Guadalajara, and Mexico City, obviously, right? Depends on what you hold.
So okay, if say me, okay, I'm a freight broker, right? Black Box Logistics. If I had a load that I need to go to Mexico, how would I go about? I mean, like, are you guys looking at load boards for cross border freight, or is it?
No, we don't use load boards in Mexico.
Okay, so how do they sort the phone calls or what? I mean, what's the way to source a truck? Phone calls, yeah.
You need to call and you need to know people here. I mean, it's about making connections, knowing people, and try to get the best deal you can, and connect with people, make friendships. And if you want to put a foot in Mexico as a broker, you need to come to Mexico. It's easy as that. I mean, I spoke with some guys a few months ago, and they told me, "Why you need an office in Mexico? Because it's difficult to. I mean, you need to build relationships. You need to be there. They need to know that you care, that you have an office there. You know that someone is going to give you a face, or will be someone to handle all the problems that can come with a freight in real time."
Appreciate you tuning in, Larry. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
You brought it up too with those problems. I mean, are there certain areas that you said that you need to avoid? Is that kind of part of the reason why you really need an office there as well? Because you need to kind of get the knowledge of what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, there's some things that you can do or things that you can, but that will depend on what you hold and where you go, right?
So,
But the local guy will give you all the details on that.
so when we're talking about where to go, where not to go, are we talking about this in reference to good markets and bad markets? Like, for example, the United States, like you go to Florida, like coming out, it's probably gonna be pretty cheap. Or are we talking about it's dangerous because of the cartel?
We're talking about dangerous. I'm pretty
Also,
sure.
also,
That's what I thought. I just need to make sure.
Also, we're talking about like where to cross. Some bridges are usually doing some stuff, and other bridges are doing some other stuff. It's easy to bring produce to Far Texas, and then go to Laredo. Because Far is like specialized and produce, and they are fast in the crossing. So, and if you want to cross like hazmat or gasoline stuff like that, there's another bridges that you need to go.
Okay.
What about product?
Go ahead, Matt.
No, you go ahead. Will and I are both obviously very interested in this topic, which is why we're going at the same time. So you go.
You can grab a plane, come to Monterrey. I'll meet you there, and we can start doing stuff.
Twist my arm. I'll come to Mexico. I'll do it. No, I mean,
you need to come, bro, because if you
I'll do it.
I mean, I'm in Laredo because I'm doing business here. I can't do business from my house or from my office, right? I need to see the people and shake hands and meet the people.
I mean,
yeah, and not just one time. You need to be a regular there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm very intrigued in it because I mean, the concept of the cartel, right? Like we don't have that in the United States. We have some organized crime, but it's nothing to that extent, right? So, I mean, I've heard stories about just freight traveling through Mexico, and again, it's just so casual. It's like, yeah, you got to like pay the cartel fee. I'm like, what are you talking about? So, like, how dangerous is it to? So, say me, I don't know local, right? Say like I line up a carrier somehow through a phone call from here, Birmingham. Never been down there. I don't have a local. I mean, like, I know it might be tough to say, but like, what are the percentages that something happens, whether the load gets stolen, hijacked? I mean, is that most common? It just gets stolen and resold, or what?
Yeah, I mean, there's chances something happen when you don't know the ground, when you don't know where you are. But I mean, right now in the states are the same. There's a lot of scam, a lot of stuff happening right now. In a different way, but at the end it's the same stuff. I mean, you book a load and never showed up. You pick it up and stole the load. It's the same that they stole the load on the highway. It's just it was a different modus operandi, a different way to do it, but it's the same.
It's kind of similar, I'd imagine, to, there's certain parts of Chicago you don't want to go into. Other parts you don't want to go into at night that might be okay during the day. So I imagine, that's kind of the importance of having a local.
As a truck driver, there's some places in Georgia that you don't want to park there and spend the night.
Yeah.
It's the same. You need to.
How is truck parking there?
Experience
in Mexico?
is important. What?
How is truck parking in Mexico?
There's not. There's little mamas and papas shops. They have showers but there's nothing like. I mean, U.S. is great in facilities and for truck drivers. I mean, I grew up in Canada too, and it's not the same. Mexico and Canada are way behind on infrastructure for truck drivers.
We ought to get truck parking club to do a Mexico campaign.
I mean, that's a possibility. The truck market, truck parking club? Yeah, it's a possibility.
Yeah, they do. From my understanding, that they just they use space that wouldn't be for truck parking. Just find extra land or lots, and they list them through their app or website or whatever. But I follow them on LinkedIn. It seems like they're doing a good job.
I don't know if the owner is seeing the podcast right now. He will see some videos of the podcast, but it's great for empty lots. It's not great for pilot or the places that are set up for parking, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. So tell us this. How good does the freight pay for cross-border? I mean, it has to be more. I mean, like, what do you have, like an average rate per mile? Or does it change similar to the U.S. based off the lane, or is it kind of like this is pretty much the going rate per mile in and out of Mexico? Or do you charge an accessorial for the crossing, or how does the pricing breakdown work?
I mean, I don't have a pricing because everything is different. But if you provide, it's different. If you provide door to door for a great and big company, I mean, the price will be better. That if you have a middleman on the way, right?
Yeah, or 2 to 3 middlemen.
These guys are willing to pay more, and a company that will do all the work from the door to door, and they will not have hassles to keep the production and to keep all the things they need to keep running. They will to pay, but if you have everything to do door to door in time, I mean, I just got into a meeting like a month ago, and they made 3 questions. You have door to door? Yes. You have CTPAT? Yes. You have Mexican drivers with a fast car? No. So who's gonna do the door to door? Oh, Mexican drivers will get the load to the border, and then we're gonna take with a U.S. driver. And they say no. We need the same driver to pick up, the same driver to deliver. I don't care if he's Mexican, American, or Canadian. We don't care.
Yeah, that's what I've run into every time I've explored cross-border into Mexico is the transloading U.S. truck to Mexico truck. We got another question from Marjorie. She's asking, do you ever do straight shots to Canada? So Mexico through the United States to Canada.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, not right now because I'm not driving anymore, but yeah, when I was driving, yeah, all the time.
Interesting.
How long did you drive for again, Hector, before you got into what you're doing now?
5-7 years, something like that.
Have you seen a lot of changes in the way? I mean, obviously, we're seeing more manufacturing, going to Mexico, and as you said, it's growing. But I mean, what are kind of some of the biggest changes that have gone on in the last 10, 20 years, in cross-border freight?
I've seen a lot of changes. I mean, that you guys are speaking with me is a change, and if I can do it in Spanish, will be better. Because I mean, we start to doing more loads between the three countries, and that's great because that's the way it's supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much Spanish do you think is needed? Because I mean, so I did a lot of freight from Washington to Florida, and a lot of the companies I used, the drivers spoke only Spanish. So yo hablo un poquito español, but I knew enough to say tenga la carga, como estás. I know I know the basics.
That's enough, bro. That's enough. I didn't learn English on the school. I learned it on the way because I mean I was working on this, and so as a driver, I also used to know how to say back in the door and door number what, or this is my pickup number
Puerta is door, right?
in French because I was doing loads to Quebec. So I mean, that's okay. That's okay. What I'm saying to all my fellow Latino drivers and dispatchers and owners is, I mean, this is a money business. Money talks. If you speak a little Spanish, I want to understand you. So give me your best shot. I will help you. The same way you help me with my 50% English, So, but it's a money business.
Yeah, I think it helps though. I mean, it made a big difference for me when I was doing, Washington to Florida and a lot of, using a lot of carriers that were based in Miami. Because I didn't have to go call the dispatcher. I could just call the driver directly when I needed to. Not that my Spanish is, great by any means, but I did, practice it for 10 years growing up. So I knew enough to know the basics of what I needed to know, if they were on time, if they had the BOL, if they were in a door. I knew it was broken Spanish, but I knew enough to be able to communicate that.
You can do a list with that phrases in Spanish and the way they sound, and that's not a problem. I mean, nobody will criticize you for your Spanish if you try. Nobody will say nothing bad of a people or someone who's trying to understand or work with you, because that person will be an asshole. But it's good to know that you know a little Spanish, so we can change the podcast now to Spanish. So, bienvenidos amigos a nuestro podcast en español. Somos Hector, Will, and Matt. Por favor, saluden a la audiencia, viejo.
Will, ¿hablas español?
Sí. Yeah, sí.
Cinco cervezas.
Yeah, sí. Hey, so what about the reload? So, okay, you got. Let me ask you this. So, I mean, I have a little bit of experience this with Canada, right? So if you have Mexico Authority, you got all the certs, you take a load from Mexico to say, like Central United States. Are you reloading with U.S. to U.S. rate? Or are you looking for loads back U.S. to Mexico? And if so, how tough are those to find?
It's tough. It's more and more right now because there's more supply from Mexico. So the empty bins need to go somewhere back. So there's more. I've been seeing the changes, more freight going to Mexico. I mean, but it will increase in the next year.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, you ever deadhead all the way back to Mexico? I drop a lot or load off in the U.S. and it's like, man, there's just nothing out here for me. Are you able to take a U.S. to U.S. load if you're a Mexico carrier with all the certs? Are you able?
No. That's illegal. Mexican carrier needs to go in and go out.
So you ever deadhead all the way back to Mexico?
I mean, you can take a load and go out to Mexico, or go into Canada. Is the same. I mean, but that's illegal. The legal is go in and go out.
Yeah. So you couldn't. So okay. So that answers that. You couldn't take a load from Mexico to U.S. and then haul U.S. to U.S. Can't do that. But what if you get empty in the United States and you can't find a reload back to Mexico? Are you accounting for that deadhead worst case scenario to drive all the way back to Mexico, or are you just waiting it out until you find something?
I mean, you need to do a plan about what you're going to do. It's not just take one load and go and expect to the holy heaven giving you a load back. You need to plan ahead.
So
if you don't plan ahead, you will lose a lot of money.
Yeah, it seems like you could lose a ton of money doing that. So that's a little bit different than a lot of the U.S. based carriers that are running domestic freight, right? They take a load from Alabama to Indiana, and they're not looking out of Indiana until they're already under the Alabama load, right? So it seems like a little bit more goes into the load planning, or otherwise you could end up losing a lot of money. We got another question from Marjorie. How often did you use WhatsApp? I'm not sure if this was for you, Matt, or Hector. If you guys want to answer that, talk about it a little bit.
I'm sorry. How often did you use WhatsApp? All the time. I'm a Latino. We love.
WhatsApp is gaining popularity. That's for sure. That and Telegram is getting kind of big in the trucking space too. I think I know several people use that.
Our podcast is we communicate through WhatsApp. The guys that do our back end stuff, shout out to Trio. The design guys are out of the Philippines, and we communicate with them through WhatsApp.
We're developing with Trio a new nearshoring programs for small companies that want to be in Mexico with a strong presence, because it's not just opening like a small company or half an office. It's having people that know the ground and know how to deal with these companies in Mexico. They have the experience. So Trio and myself, I'm part of Trio. We're working on this for giving this service to a small brokerage and small companies in the U.S.
Awesome. Hey, TBB, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, Trio does an excellent job. I've been working with them on some stuff for Black Box. They do a great job with the SOPs, documenting everything that way to make it turnkey in the training. So yeah, that's a great group. Anybody looking for some extra help, support, track and trace roles, anything like that, definitely reach out to Trio. They do an excellent job.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it's nearshoring is and offshoring is gaining a lot of popularity. How is it with the hiring process, of drivers? What's kind of the drivers, feelings who are just getting into cross-border freight? I mean, is it hard to sell a driver, whether it be in the U.S. or in Mexico, to get into that type of business? I know and employees too. We were just talking about opening small offices in Mexico and finding the right people. If you want to maybe kind of touch on that.
It's difficult doing yourself when you don't have the knowledge and how to open the Mexican office and how to deal with the labor laws and the tax law and everything. But when you have a company like Trio having your back, that they already know how to offshore all the way across all the sides of the world. So it's obviously it's easy for them to nearshore to Mexico. That is the next door, right? So they will handle all the complication that comes with the hiring and with open an office and have all these details. You can leave it to them, and focus on sales. I mean, you need to, as a small company, you need to land a contract as soon as possible, right?
Yeah. We need to Hector, you, me, Trio, JJ, we need to get some Mexico freight moving.
I'm open, bro. That's what I do.
Come to Mexico. I'll do it. I'll come to Mexico. You just gotta keep me safe from the cartel. You gotta tell me where to go and where not to go.
Don't worry, you're with me.
There we go.
You love bringing up the cartel, Will. I think that's your fifth reference to the cartel.
I mean, that's super. I mean, no. It's no need to talk about that, because Mexico is great, U.S. is great. Both are great countries. There's crime everywhere, and I want to talk about the positive things. I want to talk about how beautiful is Mexico, and how beautiful is this relation that is not new. The relation between Mexico and U.S. But right now, that Mexico is the number one partner for products out of U.S. will be great for the business, and will be great for both of us. U.S.
Well, it's moving from China. I agree with you too. Quite honestly, I'd probably be safer in most parts of Mexico than I would be in a lot of parts of Chicago. So, or a lot of parts of Philadelphia. So yeah, I totally agree with you. That's why I was giving Will a hard time. Kept bringing it up.
Yeah, no. There's tons of opportunity.
But I feel like as a Mexican, I will feel proud to talk the good things. I mean, I know crime sells. I know if I spoke of that all the time, I will have more followers or more people, more traffic in my social. But no, I prefer to talk about business, to good things,
Yeah.
positive, and how to land contracts. That's what Jaime do too, and that's our goal. By the way, follow me on my TikTok, Hector Safety Manager, and my LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have a
we'll
pretty
link
big
it.
TikTok following, from my understanding.
I mean, I try. I mean, there's a lot of stories, bro. I mean, there's a lot of stories from both sides. I mean, I just spoke with a broker like uh, 2 hours ago, and he told me, "Hey, why this driver doesn't turn on the macro point after like 5 times?" And I say, "Bro, there's drivers. I mean, I can't explain. It's easier. It's easy to get on tracking. And this is a great carrier. This is a great driver, but they just don't. I mean, and it's people. You need to deal with people every day, and it's difficult to put people with them. But it is what it is, you know."
What kind
Yeah,
of
no,
tracking app is used, most commonly with, cross border? Is it, you know, Trucker Tools, MacroPoint? Are there more, proprietary apps? The reason I ask it, I find it kind of interesting. Alaska to Washington freight. There's certain areas where you can't get any tracking. You're kind of off the grid. Is How does tracking kind of work? On these shipments.
But uh, some Mexican carriers use like GPS devices besides the Trucker Tools and Macro Points to get the whole fleet under the tracking. You know?
Okay. Is it in terms of time frame too? I mean, how do you kind of judge how much time? It's obviously in the U.S. You're doing U.S. to U.S. freight. I mean, you're obviously depends on the weather and stuff, but it's pretty easy. Some people will debate this, how many miles a day a driver can go, and things like that. But how do you calculate in there the time for like time sensitive cross border freight, and the amount of time it'll take at the border, and different things that are kind of probably more difficult to calculate than the U.S.
I mean, if you work long enough on the breaches, you already have an idea of how long will be the crossing. But usually takes one day. I mean, or from 6 to 6, right? But could be faster. But that's the usual wait time. Depends if you have everything right on the paperwork and on the load, everything checks.
so that's just crazy to me. I don't mean to. Well, I'm backtracking a little bit. You had mentioned that in Mexico, you guys don't use load boards. It's just phone calls. So even Mexico to Mexico freight, I mean, there's no kind of like truck stop or DAT that you guys are sourcing loads off of. It's all phone calls.
It's phone calls because the owner operator figure in Mexico doesn't exist a lot. There's there's not it's big fleet or medium fleets. There's no like in the U.S. a lot of owners operators. No, that's why you take contracts as a Mexican company. You don't rely on
That,
consultants.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So for anybody listening, the U.S. trucking market, it's very fragmented, right? We have a lot of owner operators of small fleets, and they make up the majority of our capacity. What Hector's saying is a little bit different over in Mexico. It's very large companies, so the owner operator doesn't exist. So load boards aren't common. You're calling the companies. Looks like we lost Hector. Okay, he's back.
Okay.
There we go.
They're owners. They're owners,
Question.
but it's a little community. It's not so big.
Yeah. She said customs brokers. Did you have any that were preferred, or do you have any that were preferred? Who do you guys use?
Depends on what you move.
Yeah.
There's plus some brokers that they specialize in some product or so on some bridge. That's so.
Which products are most commonly brought across the that you see are kind of gaining popularity or are being brought across more often than not? Like, let's say a broker was trying to prospect business in Texas that did cross border to Mexico. I mean, what suggestions would you give to a broker who's trying to prospect business in the U.S. that may go to Mexico? Like, what type of industries do you think are that's gaining more popularity?
Manufacturing right now, steel, auto parts, everything. I mean, every day cross Mexican Coke on the border every day. Coke of Coca-Cola, right? Not the other Coke.
Yep, I mean, U.S. Coke. No, yeah, we also Coca-Cola, not the other Coke, is so much better than U.S. Coca-Cola.
I mean, they say that, but I mean that's they cross they import. Yeah, they import Mexican Coca-Cola because there's a big Latino community in U.S. I mean, they're gonna sell it. If the product don't taste better, but it tastes like home for my Latino community, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. I've only had a few, but it seems like I think it's the sugar maybe that makes a difference, but it is much better. It's just different.
Yeah, but they're crossing candy every day. They're crossing piñatas every day. So because it's a large community, Latino community, and I'm sure in other ports they're crossing like for other nationalities like candy and everything from other countries. But in Mexico, I mean, if you're a broker, the easiest way to get into Mexico is get manufacturer manufacturer like book a business and start doing contact with them. That's the way.
Yeah.
Like this one. Uh,
So who are you down in Laredo visiting? Or like what kind of company are you visiting? Oh, who's that?
that's
What are we looking at here?
we're looking at like a phone book from Mexican companies, still Mexican companies.
Okay.
So that's a phone book. You can start by calling and sending emails, right?
How is the hype down? You're in Laredo right now. I mean, if you go to like a random bar in Laredo, I mean, are there a lot of people in the trucking industry because of how big Laredo is for cross border? I mean, if you go to like a random bar there, is it likely to run across someone who's also in trucking, brokerage, custom?
Yeah. Both Laredos, Mexico and US. Everybody is in the business.
Okay,
Like
so if you
like
start a conversation,
Chicago, there's a lot of trucking business there, right?
but I mean, is it more so because Chicago, there's big trucking business, but there's a lot of business in general in Chicago because Chicago is so big, but Laredo is not obviously the same size as Chicago. So, I mean, it's more what you're saying, though. It's very common to run into people in trucking and logistics.
Yeah. I mean, you go into a bar and somebody have trucks, somebody sell parts, somebody else do permits, somebody else is a mechanic. I mean, it's a business. It's a business here because it's a great crossing.
Interesting. Are you seeing too? Is there more of a younger generation kind of getting into it, or is it a lot of the people that are in cross border? Maybe in the older generation, or what kind of is there any, or is it just like everything else? There's people of a lot of different ages, in it.
I mean, it's the business is getting better. Obviously, there will be younger generations get in because there's money. I mean, if the business is good, people will continue doing it, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. And as Will kind of was saying, there's so many brokerages that don't touch, cross-border freight. And obviously, if a lot of people don't want to do it or don't know enough to do it, there's more money.
Yeah, well, that's our thing. It's not that we don't want to do it. We just don't know how to do it, right? And for me, when I think about it, unless I'm able to connect with people like you, Hector, and JJ, as you guys are doing all this to kind of figure it out, like I don't know where to begin, right? Unless I go out and I source somebody with the experience and hire them to build out that department within my company. It's not like one of my cradle to graves is going to go get they're going to go get like 20 loads to Mexico and just make it happen, right? They don't know where to start. I don't know where to start.
You could go to a freight forwarder. You believe in co-brokering, so you could go to a freight forwarder.
That's different. I wouldn't give that to I mean, maybe actually.
I believe
a lot of companies do.
I believe
if I were in the bid,
doing business. I mean, I don't feel like co-brokering world really exists, but I believe in doing business. You know, I believe in collab. I mean, I'm open to do business with anybody who wants to do business with Trio and me. You know, because that's what we do.
Yeah, well, I don't have any Mexico loads. Actually, one of my cradle to graves. This is probably 18 months ago. He got some loads to Mexico. He came into my office. He's like, "Hey, I got these 20 loads to Mexico," and I was like, "What?" Like, it was just a lot. And I looked over it, and he had it. Man, it was just across the border, but I was like, I don't know. We ended up having to give them back.
We need a meeting right now. I mean, take a flight to Cabo. We meet you there.
Yeah, twist my arm. I'll come to Cabo. Yeah,
it's a write-off, you know?
Quote them to get them to begin with.
What? I'm sorry?
How did he quote those, Will, to get those loads to begin with?
Man, it was actually it was just across the border. It was Northern California to Southern California, and it was actually, man, funny enough, it was for a forwarder. It's not somebody that we work with. I don't really know how he got in touch with them, and he was pretty early started on it. It should have been called. Like, I don't know why he didn't ask for help. He just kind of like went for it. And obviously it didn't work out. We addressed it pretty much immediately, but it was just across the border in SoCal. So I guess he like looked at like DAT rate mate, I guess, from like the origin to the destination, then just like right at the border and like add some money. Maybe he had talked to somebody with some kind of like Christmas trees or something. And yeah, we just didn't know where to go with it. I'm not even sure if our insurance carries into Mexico right now.
I think that's why some people go through forwarders too, is, you know, the liability and insurance, how that stuff works. How does that work, Hector? You know, is that why a lot of brokers, you think, go through forwarders, or they don't deal with it because of the liability and insurance?
There's insurance in Mexico. You need to. I mean, if you're a U.S. company and want to come to Mexico, you need to get insured, and also cargo insurance in Mexico is optional. So that will be between you and your client right? He will determine if he wants insurance or not.
Yeah. So SEL Supply Chains, they filed bankruptcy 2023, and one of the things that they cited was a load of slot machines that was stolen in Mexico that was a complete loss. It was like $2 million or something, but it got hijacked or something. I mean, they cited market conditions and all this, but I think the nail in the coffin actually was a Mexico load that was stolen, and I don't think it was insured. It was a complete loss.
I mean, if you have a high value cargo, you need insurance. I mean, it's not right?
But it's tricky, Hector, no? Because, I mean, in the U.S., you know, like, for example, there's a big insurance company that denies claims every time a driver forgets the tarp, that's known for that. So, I mean, I would think insurance companies would be looking for reasons to deny claims, you know, in that sense, too.
I don't know an insurance company that pays well, because the business of the insurance company is not to pay, right? So either way, you need insurance to get something. I mean,
yeah.
But I would think a company of that size would know to insure a $2 million slot machine.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
Well, you say that. I mean, yes, like they should know, like the company as a whole, right? Like the people at the top of the company are probably looking at it like, how could this happen, right? But when a company grows, things happen. Like you've got people without oversight. Say they have a cradle to grave broker that gets some loads to Mexico and doesn't check in with anybody and just runs them. Like that rep might not know. Like those kind of things happen. It's super unfortunate. And with the insurance, it's like with any claim, right? With US to US, okay, it's insured. The claim can still be denied. Yeah. I guess I shouldn't name drop insurance companies on our live podcast, but yeah, man, there's a couple of insurance companies that I absolutely despise. We won't
ban them yet.
Do what?
Have you banned the one that denies flatbed claims for not tarping?
No, no, I don't. Look, man, and there's two of them that do, and one of them doesn't cover water damage. They'll insure flatbed carriers, and they don't cover water damage. craziest thing I've ever heard. We're in the wrong business, man. We ought to just close up shop out logistics and go open up an insurance company and just deny every single claim. Just whatever reason we want. It's like, okay, do we want to? It's a whole thing, man. It's a racket. Insurance.
I mean, but it's all about the product and the business you are in, because it's like produce. I mean, we have cargo for produce, and the broker has surety bond, but as a carrier for produce, you can claim a produce load, and so.
Yeah.
But that's something that you learn over the work, doing the job. It's the same in Mexico. I mean, you can expect doing first time a $2 million cargo load and being victorious. You need to learn.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. I mean, a lot of things in this industry, whether Mexico or U.S., just the nuances and the things. My partners and I talk about all the time with our brokers, right? We do the absolute best we can to train them, but some things you just can't, right? Like things happen in this industry, and a lot of it's just problem solving and taking knowledge learned from previous situations to the present and the future. You might have lost your video there, Hector.
No,
Yeah,
we're good.
sorry. Back.
Yeah, but that's interesting. It's definitely cool to get some insight on cross-border freight and how freight travels in Mexico. I wasn't aware that that an owner-operator didn't exist in Mexico and kind of everything that goes into the cross-border transportation. I know me personally, if I ever get some Mexico loads or looking at Mexico loads, I'm going to hit you up and see if we can figure something out on it.
Yeah, and then anybody else that wants to get Mexican contracts can call me. My phone is 512-713-1645. If you have a WhatsApp, it's better because I always answer the messages. And my email is Hector at mytrioservices.com. And we can do great things together. I mean, it's time to to build great business between Mexico, U.S., and Canada, better than before, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, especially as technology evolves. I mean, everything. I mean, there's just so much opportunity out there, right? And all the information you provide, we can link it. We'll post the episode tomorrow for playback. We'll link all your profiles so anybody that wants or needs to get in touch with you can. It looks like you got one fan here, TBB. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you.
It was good.
Well,
It was good learning experience for me too. I mean, I learned a lot of things I didn't know, and we appreciate you coming on, Hector. And yeah, we hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah. We'll start my weekend now. I mean,
yeah.
I will cross the bridge, get some tacos, some beers. Will be great.
Hey, sounds like a good way to get the weekend started. Well, yeah, thanks again, Hector. We appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.
Great chat, bro.
Yeah, thanks again, Hector.
Episode 9. That was a good one. That was
fun.
A lot.
That's confusing, man. I mean, some of it, obviously because we're so green in it, but there's so much stuff to know. And I feel like Laredo would be a great city to visit, just to kind of see everything that goes on there. I think I want to go to Laredo sometime in next year or two.
Yeah, I mean, well, when he was talking about Laredo and then said something maybe about Chicago, it's like, man, the big distinction there is that a lot of people go to Chicago for a lot of reasons, right? But if you go to Laredo, I can't really think of any other reason that you would go to Laredo, right? You know what I mean? Unless you're in transportation logistics. I'm not really sure. I could be misspeaking. Somebody from Laredo might be listening to this and just, what a dumbass. Maybe there's a lot of cool, exciting things happening in Laredo. But yeah, definitely a place to see. It sounds like a lot is going on down there. Pretty exciting to hear from Hector about the Mexico to U.S. trade. So yeah, it was definitely a good episode.
Yeah, no, I learned a lot as well. It was fun, man. We'll be back next week. That reminds me, we have a guest. We are going back. We have a shipper guest for Wednesday. Reminds me, we need to send out some stuff today for bios and things of that nature. But we'll be back on Wednesday, guys.
Awesome. Well, that'll do it for episode 9. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll link the episode tomorrow.
And for our sponsors, we forgot to mention again. Shout out Sales Dash, best freight specific CRM out there, as Will and I
we're onboarding. I just texted Josh during the episode. Black Box is about to start using Sales Dash. Did a demo this week, so he told me it's good software. You guys should check it out.
Well, Josh, if you're seeing this right now, you just got a new customer.
I'll text. Yeah, he's gonna go to Birmingham. He's gonna get us all onboarded. And then additional shout. We've got another sponsor that we should be announcing early next week. Shout out to Black Box Logistics, my company, HD Shipping Solutions. Matt, if you're interested in being an agent, hit him up. But yeah, that'll do it for episode 9. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
That sounds good. I feel like we keep teasing this this next sponsor. It's just we there's a lot of work that kind of goes into it, guys, with agreements, LLCs. It's kind of taking a little bit longer than
they're real. We promise. It's a real sponsor.
Yeah, we promise.
Yeah, they go to a different school. All right, well, that'll do it for episode 9.
All right, have a good weekend, Will.
All right, you too. See ya.